Hey, Mark here. Just wanted to give a little intro before this episode starts because, well, we got a certain special segment tacked on to the end of this that I want you guys to stick around for. So, I'm in journalism classes right now for college, and in one of them, we're doing this, semester-long blog, and the assignment for that, we got to pick any topic we like, and I figured, hey, why not incorporate my own music nerdery into it? So I figured, since I just moved up to the Orange County world, I would look around their local scene and see, how to get into it, both as, a fan and as an artist. If you want to look at the blog, I'll link it in the description. Honestly, it's basically like a truncated version of what we talked about in this episode. Basically, I'm getting ahead of myself. I went to this venue, this cafe marketplace in Santa Ana, where they're having this acoustic singer-songwriter showcase. And there was this company called the Orange County Music League, which is all about, promoting local artists. They have a label, they book gigs, all that kind of stuff. And I talked to a few people that work for them, as well as a couple of the artists that played that night. It was a nice little conversation that definitely went on a little longer than I expected. It ended up going about 20 minutes, a bit over 20 minutes. I edited it down, though. If you want to see what point in the episode it's at, the time codes are in the description and the show notes, and if you're watching on YouTube, I got the time code right there on the screen in case you just want to skip to that, even though I do recommend listening to this full thing. But, I understand people like to skip around sometimes. We just talk about what makes the Orange County music scene unique, or really just what can make a local music scene special in general. This really is a cool conversation, even if you're not from Southern California at all. And more importantly, how much pay-to-play shows freaking suck so bad. So yeah, this is a nice little conversation, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it. I'm not sure if future installments of this blog I'm doing for this class will incorporate this a long form audio way of getting quotes and stuff, so I don't know if there'll be other podcast segments I can put on here, but I'm definitely gonna try to do that, especially with this second installment coming soon, which I won't really give any details about. Actually, I do kind of give some details about it in this conversation. I'm gonna shut up now. Enjoy. Fuck you, Daryl. It's the Mad Sounds Podcast.
Spicy meatballs. Hello.
Mine was better.
Hello, though. Welcome to the Mad Sounds Podcast, where we talk about music and other non-such nonsense.
Other whatevers. This is why I do it 90% of the time. Okay?
My name is Johnny.
I'm Mark.
And we have some non-sad news. We're not talking about
no
death this time.
This ain't the death cast. The death cast is canceled for one episode, and actually in the next one it'll be very death focused, actually. So let's just relish this while we can.
Let's relish this opportunity to not be sad hot dogs.
Mustard, you make that pun?
Abso-fucking...
Now I gotta catch up to your level.
Mayo, I was waiting for that one.
Mayo,
this is what we've evolved to,
stop.
people. When we're not being sad and depressive and reflective, we're making really bad stretching for hot dog jokes.
Man, we're angering our audience. We're making them feel so sauerkraut.
What audience? I'm kidding. John, I love you from ARTV. Much love to you.
You didn't catch that.
Smooches and kisses.
You didn't catch that.
What?
We're making our audience feel real sauerkraut.
Oh, see, I didn't. Mark,
I feel like a real brat. Worst.
I was trying to distance ourselves from our really shallow
We're
beginnings.
already way deep in this, baby.
So, all right. This time around, we're just going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We got a smorgasbord of excitement for you today.
Indeed, including a segment at the end from something that I recorded a few weeks ago, which I'll explain more in the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, so... Honestly, so we were initially we were gonna talk about the Eminem Trump thing, and but honestly, you posted something on Twitter that really encapsulated my thoughts, and it's been a week or two at this point. Personally, I mean, there's something that I found. Actually, it's nowhere near as interesting.
Here's the interesting thing that I think about it is the reactions have been so split. So I know a lot of Eminem fanboys out here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of them. And their reaction was not, yeah, Eminem went on. He went off on fucking Trump. It was, I've heard better. His flow. They were focusing on the non-subject matter. And I think it's because they're also burnt out on talking about Trump. Last night, I watched the Patton Oswalt special. I don't know if you've seen it, but
no.
Okay, well, there's a part he does a whole bit about Trump, but it's only like the first 5 minutes of the special. He's like, and that's all I got on Trump because I'm gonna be honest, I'm burnt out on Trump. And he goes on the spiel about how he compares Trump's presidency and his public acts as a man who pulls his pants down in public and shits everywhere. And you turn around to tell everybody jokes about it, but while you've turned around, he's made a fucking shit sombrero and he's put it on his head, and now people want to hear jokes about that. So it's exhausting. And I feel like while it's poignant for an artist like Eminem to use a platform to be political, like I talked about, I get it. But I do think it's kind of ironic that all of his fans that I know that are like, or at least some of the fans of his that I know that are like, yeah, Eminem's the greatest, but that freestyle wasn't that good. When I think it was great. I think it had some good lines. Like I said in my Twitter video, I think it had some good lines, and I think it's sad that his fans don't want to back him just because he's being political when he's done it before.
I guess my appreciation for it is more in what it is on paper versus what it actually is. Like, you know, you got a few weird references, which you're gonna get from an off the top of your head freestyle, even though apparently there were like multiple takes of this, so I don't know how much of that was actually off the top of his head. But like, you know, that opening thing with the coffee pot and like the Fantastic Four reference, that was a bit weird.
I love that personally. And that's the thing, like, I like slam poetry. I like Saul Williams, and I like clever slam poetry as well. I like that type of hip-hop. And while Eminem tried this last year with his campaign speech song, I think it works better as an a cappella because Eminem's not the type of guy to hop on the type of production that suits spoken word hip-hop.
And I guess, I'm trying to think, what's my hot take for this?
Eat some peppers first! You're not eating peppers! God damn it! I'm kidding.
I suppose that, like, the point that people have made that I kind of agree with is the fact that, like, while, yeah, a lot of us are really jaded, or should I say, a lot of us are really burnt out on the whole Trump thing and, like, commenting on every little thing, and it can get, even for him, it can be a little bit, like, okay, picking at every little thing, but at the same time, I forgot who it was. I forgot if it was, like, D-Respect or it was someone that made a video about this. I'll leave a little note for editing. Mark will leave a little note here. Hi, editing Mark here. It was Fantano. Back to your recording, Mark. There was this study that was done about where fans of certain artists are mostly from in the U.S. And for Eminem, like, it was nowhere near, like, you know, the hip-hop sort of capitals of the country. It was more like in, like, the North and like, the Midwest and, like, you know, friggin', like, Montana and, like, Wisconsin. Like, just, like, you know, it's, like, places like that where, you know, you don't really get as much of a mass intake of this kind of media as you normally would. So I think that someone like Eminem really is one of the few people that could get away with doing something like this, where he's not totally breaking new ground as far as the commentary itself, but as far as the audience that he's reaching with it, I think he's reaching people that wouldn't be listening to, like, who's someone that put out political stuff this year. They wouldn't be listening to, like,
Algiers.
Yeah, like an Algiers or like a Lupe Fiasco even, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like, you say, like, his popular demographic is the Midwest. I mean, that's because that's where he's from. Like,
yeah.
He popped in Michigan, so I think it's weird. Like, the whole reaction to this thing is kind of weird, because on Twitter, I guess the most liberal platform that I'm on, you know, on Facebook, I follow, like, I have friends that are conservatives, but on Twitter, it's mostly liberal, baby. And they were all like, yeah, Eminem, you the GOAT for a reason, blah, blah, blah. And that was the reaction I expected to hear from people, like, in real life, and to not get that was just kind of shocking to me, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose I'm not on either extreme of the equation, really. Like, I get why someone would be on either side of it. both sides. I don't want to go down that.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm so glad that we actually did go down this because I was going to talk about the Black Friday Record Store Day thing that came out and just how underwhelming it is.
Yeah.
There's because normally for this kind of thing I would write down like 10 releases or 10 or 11 or maybe 12 that like really caught my eye that I'd be super interested in. This time I wrote down like 6, and then was easily able to narrow it down to like 3 or 4.
What were those?
There's the Anthrax, they're putting out a 12-inch picture disc of their covers of Carry On Wayward Son and actually Blanck Mass from the White Stripes.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting. Then both of us are pretty big fans of Baby Driver. That song from Danger Mouse and Run the Jewels, Chase Me, they're putting out a 12-inch single of that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Death From Above. They're putting out a 7-inch of Freeze Me. The Guardians of the Galaxy is actually putting out a Baby Groot picture disc, which, yes.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I got Awesome Mix Volume 1 back when the first one came out, so this would be a nice little companion piece to that, for sure.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not a ridiculous amount of money,
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then, actually, one that I'm pretty interested in is, and the last one that I have written down is Rush. They're putting out a 7-inch of Closer to the Heart for the 40th anniversary of Farewell to Kings.
That's pretty cool.
And so it's a 7-inch single, but it actually comes with a big hole in the middle that I guess is sort of 45-ish, but apparently it also comes with like a custom adapter for a turntable.
What?
Which I'm pretty fascinated by.
Yeah, like what does it do? What does the adapter do?
I don't know. There's just like a brief description on the website.
Huh.
And actually, this is going to be my first record store day outside my normal North San Diego stomping grounds, hometown area. And I know there's a pretty big one a few miles away from me, Fingerprints. So I'm probably going to be going there. This should be an interesting one. And I know, and I just gotta go on the soapbox for a second. Whenever someone brings up Record Store Day, they always say, "Oh, it's not worth it anymore because people are gonna scalp it and put it on eBay." Look, the problem is not with the people running Record Store Day. The problem is your record store. Go to a better record store, because if you're going to a halfway decent record store, they'll have rules about this kind of thing.
Exactly.
About how many things you can buy. Not being allowed to buy multiple copies of the same thing, all that kind of stuff in order to prevent this kind of thing. So blaming the whole institution, the whole people behind it, and just like basically discrediting what really helped bring back vinyl over the past decade in the first place, just because of a few dicks, including the dicks in the record store that won't properly regulate it, then you gotta pick your battles with this kind of thing. Yeah. This is my thought.
It hurts Record Store Day because, and like you said, there's not as many compelling artists putting out compelling projects. Rush, I think they did one for last Record Store Day too, didn't they? Yeah, they did Cygnus X1.
Yeah, that was this past April, yeah.
Yeah, like they're putting out compelling stuff for Record Store Day, but I can't name many artists that are continuing to do so,
Yeah, I mean, granted, it is Black Friday, so it's like sort of the B-side Record Store Day. It's just a little bonus. It's a little bonus.
I mean, but I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be cool to have other, because people that didn't participate in the one in April, they could participate in the one in November. I don't know. It's just.
I mean, to give you,
it's a thought.
Yeah, to give you an idea, like the last one I deleted before narrowing down to this 5 was the Cheap Trick Christmas album.
Yeah, see, then that's
yeah.
Why? Yeah. Why would you want to do that?
Not there's anything wrong with Cheap Trick,
No, but I don't need Cheap Trick's Christmas album. I just don't need that in my life.
Yeah. That's fair. So anyway, we're about 10 minutes, and I think it's about time to get to a little what have you been listening to lately?
Yeah.
Theme.
Let's do that.
What have you been listening to lately? What are the songs that you just gotta play me? The question comes up weekly, nightly, daily. So what have you been listening to lately?
None.
Yeah, let's do that theme song time. It's good. It's good theme song time.
Thank you.
So,
Oh, you know what? Maybe while I was in Indy, we should have made time to re-record that.
to do like a live version of that, we
Yeah.
probably should have. But
Next time.
I mean, yeah, next time. We're gonna structure this episode kind of similarly to one that we did not too long ago, just a little different. Not as jam-packed with so many records, but we'll have our own kind of give and take. We have a couple that we've both listened to, and then ones that we're recommending to each other, and to you, beautiful people.
Indeed. Okay, so let me just pull up the old podcast itinerary Word doc, and you know what? The first one I've listed is one that I want to end it with because let's save the bashing for a few minutes in. I do want to start with one. Actually, the one that I was just listening to. Right before we started recording. The new Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
new Foo Boys. You see my shirt?
I like Concrete and Gold.
I like me some Foo Boys.
I really like me some Foo Boys, and I was really excited for this album.
Honestly, I didn't know what to think because I've learned to stop getting super hyped for Foo Fighters albums because it's not that they don't have great albums, but they're like too good at picking singles.
Here's the thing, though. Wasting Light was only 2 albums ago. It was only 2 albums ago they made in my opinion, their best record to date.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm writing a piece on this record and their last record in comparison with Wasting Light. But I can share my opinion here because it's pretty public on the internet what I think about it. It's not that I hate it, I'm just disappointed.
I honestly I feel okay because you were saying earlier that our opinions might be a little divisive. I figured this would be like an LCD Sound System situation where you were like super hyped on it and I was more like but it seems like more like I think it's an improvement over Sonic Highways. At least
I wouldn't go that far
to me. But here's the thing, so here's been my problem in general. Like taking aside like the quality itself, like on its own, it seems like Dave has been presented with these opportunities and the potential to like really push new ground and sort of innovate within the Foo Fighters canon at the very least. Like Sonic Highways, it was revolving around this series where he was going all around the country and soaking in the influences and just making just another Foo Fighters album, basically. And that's actually what ended up landing it in my top 5 most disappointing albums of 2014. Not because it's a bad album by any means. It was decent. But that up against what it could have been, there was just so much disparity there that I wound up feeling really cold from it. This time around, I don't feel quite as much of that. But the fact that they brought on, Greg Kurstin, who's this big pop producer, basically. And, there was all this talk about like totally changing things up and like making it fit that style more. And then there's just some tracks here that don't really reflect that in the songwriting. Dave being kind of a limited songwriter in spots is what kind of hinders this from being the fantastic next step that it could have been outside the singles. That's just my thought.
They're toting the album as being recorded with this gimmick. That's the word. All of their past 3 records, every record this decade has been done with a gimmick in place. Wasting Lights it was all recorded in Dave's garage and it's on vinyl, but they didn't sacrifice the songwriting for that. It's still a great, tight record. Sonic Highways was the same way. Oh, it's this whole, every song is recorded in a different city and the songwriting kind of reflects that. You can't tell for some of the songs, but there are some songs where you can. Like Feast and the Famine sounds like something that would come out of where it was recorded.
Yeah, and there's that one song that has like a horn section on it.
Yeah,
that was recorded in New Orleans.
There's different ideas that still fit the gimmick. So I don't think that Concrete and Gold is a step above Sonic Highways. I think it's actually a step down because there are so many bells and whistles that they toted for this record. There's like, oh, there's a Boyz II Men member on the one track. Oh, Justin Timberlake's on this. You cannot fucking tell.
Yeah.
You cannot tell that he's there. All of these bells and whistles don't mean for shit if you cannot tell that they're there, guys.
Exactly. It was more, it's because like hearing about it, like it builds up hype and all that. And like, I mean, case in point, you got Paul McCartney and he's playing drums.
Yeah. I've told so many people that. I'm like, you get Paul McCartney, that's like putting Les Claypool on drums. Paul McCartney's one of the most famous bassist and singers ever. We're gonna put him on the drums. Yeah, he might be able to play. That doesn't mean you fucking put him on the drums.
And it's like, at least have him help out with the lyrics. Like,
yeah, something. Have him sing at some point. Have him do the chorus like other pop songs do. You have a pop producer. Have your guests actually prominent on the chorus like most pop songs do. No, you fucking waste your fucking ideas in the shit can to put a lot of mediocre tracks together. There's very few songs on the new Foo Fighters where I was actually wowed. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I'm sure most of those would be the singles in your opinion, right? Because Run, like that, like I feel like those are actually some songs where that new production style really kind of helps them. Yeah, because like The Sky is a Neighborhood, for example, like that brings in like these kind of sparklier sounds and like big backing vocals and strings and all that. But it's like the kind of weird kind of stomp effect of it is like not too removed, but it's removed enough that it's like you can see that as a really interesting step, especially with like how the vocals sound in the beginning and all that, and just like how it builds. Like you can see that extra oomph in the production coming in, and especially on Run. And you can see that on the last song too, but again, like knowing who's on that, and it's hard to talk about because I don't really have a unified opinion on this quite yet, because there's so many positives and there's like a lot of negatives, but it's like the song itself is fine, but it's just like knowing what it could have been. It's a weird thing. It's a weird conflict in my head.
I mean, that in itself tells you an opinion, because you don't want to hate this thing, but you kind of do. And here's the thing, Mark, it's okay to hate something that you want to like, because I had a lot of hopes for this record. You know, I didn't really give a shit about the bells and whistles. I figured they probably wouldn't be as prominent, but the fact that that was their focal point, these gimmicks, these ideas were the thing. Ultimately, I think this record does push new bounds for Foo Fighters. It's the Foo Fighters trying to make a Pink Floyd album, only it fails because they are not a band like Pink Floyd.
I'm going to say, like, even though Run, honestly, I feel like over time it could become one of my favorite Foo Fighters songs. Like, I
fucking love Run.
Yeah, because I would honestly recommend, if we were taking like what are the biggest hits out of the equation, like that would probably be the first song I would recommend to someone as like, this is everything in the Foo Fighters range. If you like it, visit anything else.
I'd even say the song...
and also like how like the time signatures sort of fuse into each other with the different sections and stuff, the sort of unconventional structure of it all. It's just, I guess, like in its weaker moments, and I think I was able to articulate it while you were talking about it. It's that sometimes the production is like bringing in these tricks and stuff, but the song, and I would be fine with those gimmicks if the songwriting complemented it. For example, like La Di Da, like what it sounds like to me, this is the image that came in my head. It's like back in 1991, U2 is closing up the studio for when they're recording Achtung Baby, but they forgot to lock the door, so the local bar band came in and just started messing with it, with all the same settings on.
I mean, I honestly, I don't hear a huge detraction from the record as far as the production goes. The production's fine to me as far as the band sounding good goes. And actually,
that's what I'm talking about.
I think it's interesting.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So many people want to trash La Di Da. I really fucking like that song, and I like the direction that it goes in sonically. Like I've heard so many people like, La Di Da is kind of a throwaway song. It's a hell of a lot better than the Snorefest. That's the title track. The Line is a song that does nothing for me.
That's interesting. I thought that was another one where I found like there was a slightly different flavor being put in. Like, I don't know, like in some of like the vocal arrangements and some of the guitar work, I got kind of a Killers vibe. And maybe that's because Killers is the next one we're talking about and they're kind of on the mind. I don't know. That's just the vibe that came in, and I didn't
get that at all.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't really remember how it goes. But
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of even on Sonic Highways, a record that I would not defend very much. I can think of more memorable moments on that small package of a record.
Yeah.
Or Wasting Light. Like even my least favorite record of theirs, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. I could think of more moments that I liked or that I could say are memorable than I could on this record. On this new record, there's the tone shift in La Di Da, Run, which is just a fucking incredible song. There's the chorus, the entirety of Sky is the Neighborhood, and there's the ideas that are on there. Like the idea of having Paul McCartney on drums, even though you don't really care or even notice it because he's just a drummer. Like I think more about the ideas that were put in this record than I do the music itself, and that's the problem to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like yeah, he has played drums on some of his own albums, but if we're being honest with ourselves, he was probably the third best drummer in the studio that day.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's the problem.
And one of the other drummers is singing. Not that.
Yeah, exactly.
And Taylor does a good job on that. I like his voice. Like A Cold Day in the Sun, I think is a pretty underrated song, but still.
I think his vocal stuff is okay. It fits the Foo Fighters sound. Like, I don't think it takes them out of their element at all. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's anything that dazzled me. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about enough to say on that. I think it's fine. I'd probably go in like the strong 6 light 7 range. Like I do see it kind of fading on with me with time. I don't know, honestly.
I have it at like a decent 6. It's a low to decent 6 to me. I mean, I think it's passable, and that's about it.
Yeah. And let's move on to one. Speaking, I was mentioning the Killers earlier. I'm going to be a bit more positive with this one. We're going to talk about the album "Wonderful, Wonderful," an album that I think is pretty good.
I think it's pretty good. Nice. I think I didn't listen to Battleborn, but I had talked to my best friend is a giant Killers fan, and he told me that it was this kind of stadium rocky sort of Springsteen influenced record, and I was like, the Killers are doing that kind of shit. And that's present on here, but it melds better with the 80s synth aesthetic that they were known for.
Yeah, because this is the kind of album where it's like they didn't have to put in as much effort as they did. Like, they could have just kind of made, nice pop rock singles, sort of akin to what they'd done before, played the festival circuit and gotten away with it. But honestly, like, straight from the opening track, like the title track, like, you got this sort of bass texture coming in and like this really interesting kind of structure going on. And just kind of the atmosphere that it has. I can't think of another Killer song that's done that's had that kind of like vibe to it, for lack of a better word.
I mean, it felt kind of akin to the stuff from their golden age, as it were. It was just textured a little differently. Like, I definitely got Hot Fussy vibes from the opening track and parts of The Man, but I don't think it was bad. Like, I'm not saying that they're trying to tread old ground. I feel like they're trying to adapt old ground. That's the difference. Like, plenty of bands try to tread old ground and replicate the same magic, and it normally never works. Whereas I feel like the Killers on here were trying to grow from that. Like, Run for Cover is another example where it kind of has like this hot, fuzzy atmosphere with the synthesizers, but it takes a different tone, and therefore it expands the sounds from that record. I feel like they grew as a band on this album in a great way.
It's funny, like, the Killers and the Foo Fighters are two bands, big rock powerhouses over the past 20 years or so, where it's like, I enjoy listening to them and a lot of their songs, but I never really find their lyrics mattering in that equation on a lot of the time, with a few exceptions for the Killers, especially on Hot Fuss. But on this record, like, I found some pretty impressive moments, like on Run for Cover is definitely one that definitely stuck out as far as its storytelling. Rut is another one, and I actually was just listening to the Song Exploder episode that they did on that song. He's talking about like the more kind of personal subject matter going into this record, and it kind of adds like an extra sort of dynamic that you didn't really hear on the past records. Like, I wish I had more distinct things to think of right now.
Definitely, and that comes across definitely, especially on the closing track. The opening lines to it, I'm trying to think of what they are verbatim, but he like opens it with the idea of the song, and it kind of ties those themes of the record together really well. The heartfeltness, I felt like, was needed, just because, like you said, Hot Fuss is a record where, outside of a few tracks, the lyrics, they're not really anything. They're kind of just lots of buzz words
cool.
and phrases.
They sound
cool. Exactly. But I liked that they put the dedication into making a holistic experience that isn't just cool, but there are some songs with stuff to say, because the man is a classic Killers jam, and it has nothing to say other than, I don't give a damn. I'm the man,
actually, I think that Brandon was actually talking about, and obviously, you know, I don't want to take interview quotes and turn it into my opinion, but I think that, like, as the song progresses, you see a little bit more of the narrator's, like, ego being fractured, and like how it turns out to be a little bit more of a fragile kind of put on as it goes on. And he did say that it was like a comment on, like, the person he was, like, when the band was first blowing up, you know. So I can see kind of the commentary on that, and the sort of put-ons that people can be and have that sort of machismo.
I don't think it's as ham-fisted, though.
Yeah, exactly. And Tyson versus Douglas is another song that kind of goes a lot more direct in that this perfect, like, undefeatable person as a kid just going down and, like, having to reconcile with that.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes this like one tiny thing and just, like, blows it up to these, like, human condition levels in a way that's just, I thought was really cool.
It does a thing that a lot of really good bands do at some point in their career, is they make ordinary or the small and the minuscule extraordinary. They take something that is very that could be seen to some as just a thing and making it the world and letting that relate to the listener at a very base level. And there are some bands that do that really well. There's some bands that consistently do that well, and it's nice to see that the Killers can do that and that they are doing that with their new music.
Yeah, this album was great.
I give it like a 7 out of 10. Spicy boys. I know that sounds like a strong 7. Like, I'm giving it like a strong 7. I know that sounds like a big jump from like a 6 on the Foo Fighters, and I talked a lot of trash about it, to a 7 for this. I feel like
it's expectations.
It's expectations, and I feel like the middle like the middle parts of some of the middle tracks on the Killers record aren't as impactful. Like, Run for Cover's in there, but there's some songs that don't hit as hard for me.
Yeah, I suppose the two that didn't really stand out to me were Life to Come and Out of My Mind, which were just like, yeah, they're there as, like, you know, oh, this part sounds like you too. Oh, this part's got a synth lead. Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's not perfect, but
it's kind of running in place there, where there wasn't as much pushing forward going on. But for as much pushing forward as there was, really cool job, especially considering at this point it seems like only half the band even gives a fuck about being the Killers anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like really, I got the album on CD, and Dave isn't even in the pictures.
Yeah.
And he plays on half the album, and it's like you see him on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's just kind of standing there, like, barely strumming at all, and it's like, oh, this is kind of, and Brandon and Ronnie are the only ones in all the interviews, and they carry them pretty well, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. That kind of leaves a bad taste in mouth.
Yeah.
But hey, who am I to judge?
At least they still made a good record out of it.
Totally.
In spite of that.
Don't give up on me, 'cause I'm just in a rut. I'm climbing, but the walls keep stacking up.
Now it's time for America's new favorite game show. Was Macklemore ever good in the first place? I'm gonna put an audience sound here.
Okay. Our first debater for that is the internet's own Marcus Bermans. Bermans, do you think Macklemore was ever good?
Fake fan, Marcus is not my full name, it's just Mark.
I know. Look, okay.
You trying to compare me to other Marcuses? Is that what you're saying?
You can call me Jonas Gomez for all I care. I was just trying to make a joke. So, what did you think of the new Macklemore, buddy? Gemini.
I don't know where to start. Can you
well,
start,
I'll
actually?
Start. Yeah, I can start this for
I'll
sure.
I'll jump on whichever point stands out to me the most.
It's a hot pile of garbage. Every song has Macklemore trying to replicate the artist that is featured on that song.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought of the perfect place to go to. So, on this Unruly Mess I made from last year, the last one with Ryan Lewis, the 3 worst songs on that, like, by consensus, were Brad Pitt's Cousin, Let's Eat, and Dance Off. So what did he decide to do on this new solo album? He made an album with 16 tracks that are all dance-offs, Brad Pitt's Cousins, and Let's Eats.
Yeah, for the most part. Only He threw in a lot of, I don't know what I want to sound like, so instead I'm going to... That's my biggest qualm with this record. Macklemore has no personality, so he is instead trying to be every personality that ever existed ever. And if there's no guest rapper on it, he's just gonna fucking autopilot while the singer comes in.
Yeah. I was looking at interviews to see, like, what is your mindset behind this? And he was saying, you know, I'm in a happy mood, and that's why, you know, I'm not talking about politics and all that, and that's fine. And he also saying, you know, the fact that he collaborates on every single song except one. Like, he says, like, oh, I don't need to do 3 verses of hot bars in every song, but it's not even so much the number of verses is that some of these choruses are over a minute long.
Yeah, and also, none of these bars are hot, Mac. What the fuck?
Indeed.
Bringing some cold, frigid-ass bars in my house, and I'm not happy about it. Warm that shit up, homie.
Yeah, and you know what? I've realized sort of what a lot of the issue is for when Macklemore does, like, more lighthearted, like, less stuff that matters type stuff, which, by the way, not saying that that's automatically a bad thing, but the thing with Macklemore is that he has no subtlety whatsoever. He's maybe the most on the nose rapper this side of I was gonna say like Hobson meets something, but let's just go with that.
He's
yeah. So because of that, what he really needs to hinge on in order to make something interesting is the subject of the song itself. Like, for example, what carries some songs that maybe were a little bit lighter in tone, like, say, I know it's going to be the obvious pick, but say Thrift Shop or, like, Downtown from the last album, is that there was sort of a through, like, theme or a wacky storyline that was being followed, that kind of, where, like, those details kind of filled in where you wouldn't really notice a lack of cleverness as much, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas here it's just like very by the numbers filler lines for a verse that doesn't offend anyone, doesn't make any clever references, and any references it does are just kind of hammered into the ground really cringily. And yeah.
And it's trying too hard. That's the other thing. Like on some of the tracks on this Unruly Mess I've made, even though I've slammed that record countless times, there's some songs on there that work. There's the one about graffiti, which name escapes me, but it's the one that DJ Premier did the beat for. That was also another song about a lighthearted subject matter, graffiti. Like, yeah, graffiti has its darker side, and there's the whole, you know, the fact that it's illegal, but there's a sense of lightheartedness to tackle something like that. So he has the capabilities of doing it when he's not just rapping about shit you find at the fucking Goodwill down the street, you know?
Yeah.
And he does it with some, you know, some sense of style, you know, and all of that's just out the window here. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I know that I know what songs are on here because, you know, again, you can look at the feature list and go, oh, that's the one that sounds like Migos. Oh, that's the one that sounds like Lil Yachty. Oh, that's generic rap pop song number 47.
That's the one. That's the one with Skylar Grey on it. So you know it's what that's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I may not remember a whole lot about. Like, I know there's a song about his daughter on there,
and it's like nowhere near as good as the song from last year about his daughter. Which it was corny for sure, but it was but you know, there was enough like detail in it. It was cute. It was cute. You got the point of it. You respected it. I think you're talking about like. In the last track, Excavate, I think that what he wants us to hinge on when he goes more into that stuff is, this is just me being honest, you know, this is just what I'm doing, but the thing is, it takes more than that to make something compelling.
Yeah, it does. It takes an actual personality. Like, take Chance the Rapper, for example. Like, Chance on Acid Rap and Coloring Book, he's in two very different places in life. On Acid Rap, he's deep into some drugs, he's living that drug binge lifestyle, and he's making some really off-the-wall sounding bars, but he's entertaining. Take Coloring Book, for example. It's a lot more spiritual. It's a lot more about his life as a father and all that sort of shit. He's in a much different place in life, but it's still compelling because Chance is an entertaining rapper. He's a guy with personality. He's a guy who knows how to arrange music.
You know what it is that his lyrics sound like interview quotes. About just like, someone's just like, so what have you been up to lately, Mac? What have you been up to lately, Ben? And then you can just like rattle off like that one verse from Excavate about what his situation is there. It's like, okay, cool, but why would I ever listen to this again? This is a Facebook update from someone that hasn't posted in 6 months.
Yeah. That's kind of how the album feels, honestly. You kind of summed it up well.
Yeah, and also, you were mentioning Chance, and, like, he was just, like, even though Chance wasn't on it, like, Church, it's basically him trying so hard to make like a coloring book song, and not getting it at all. Yeah, and then and he even name drops Chance on the next song just to further cement that.
And that's I feel like Macklemore's like this Martian that's like, he's looking at the landscape of hip hop and he's like, I know the formula now. I can make a good rap album. I can take all of these elements and mathematically calculate that this record would be a success, and it's not a success, Mac.
Yeah, and I feel like
it's garbage.
And I feel like I want to make it clear that, like, I am more disappointed than like outright bashing on everything he's ever done, because, like, I re-listened to The Heist. I still think it's a good, maybe not being good, maybe not good being Good Kid, Mad City great, but it's still really good. It's a real solid, especially because of a lot of that subject matter that went into it with what he was going through the last few years. Like, again, that really filled in those gaps where cleverness would normally be, like a song like Jimmy Iovine or Starting Over, for example.
Yeah.
But I think that over time, like, on some tracks with this Unruly Mess I've Made, and then with, like, 80% of this, he's basically become everything he was bashed about for doing in the first place. Because, like, I was going into this thinking, like, oh god, this is just going to be mom rap. But I realized, hey, wait a minute, this isn't mom rap, this is great aunt rap.
Yeah, this is like the knockoff game that, like, your aunt buys you for the holidays because, you know, she doesn't know what the hell you like anymore. And she's like, you used to like Jurassic Park. Here's Fun Dinosaur Land, the game.
Yeah, and then, like, if we're going back to, like, a couple tracks, like, maybe she's like seeing, like, oh, I've heard this Yachty guy on the telly one time. Oh, marmalade, I like that on my toast. Or I don't even really know what marmalade is, but I've never had it. Or it's like, I heard about Amigo once from my grandson. Oh, Willy Wonka, that's a cute story. Oh, he's saying he's got flavor. I liked that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's
how to play the
sure.
flute. My great grandson is in the school band.
It's pretty bad.
And it's like the kind of people that would listen to a song like that one verse on Intentions and actually be like, yep, that's my problems right now.
Yeah. Oh, and that's like...
It's Let's Eat Part 2, by the way. But somehow even worse. How is that possible?
You take away Ryan Lewis. That's how it's possible.
True.
I think we're showing that how much Ryan Lewis had his hand in making those two records, because I tell you right now, there is a 2-point difference between this and this Unruly Mess I've Made. So I can only imagine how much they had to kind of give and take with each other when putting that together. Because this is, I got nothing else, man. I fucking hate this thing.
If I could maybe name the couple highlights, like the chorus of Ain't Gonna Die Tonight, like Eric Nally, bless him, he tried to save it. Then Good Old Days with Kesha, like Ryan Lewis did better working with her out of the two, but, you know, it works for what it's trying to do. I wanted to like Fire Breather with a Rain Wolf. You know what it sounds like? The riff on that song sounds like they wanted to sample Rage Against the Machine's Bomb track, but they didn't have the rights.
Yeah, no, that's fucking... And also, I kind of remember what song you're talking about now, yeah.
And it also speaks to, like, another one of Macklemore's weaknesses we didn't even touch on, which is that he doesn't have much of a flow. He just kind of says a rhyme on a rhythm. And, like for example, like, there's a very specific kind of rhythm going on with, like, the groove of the riff there, and the only way that it syncs up with his voice is that the measures end at the same time.
Well, that's, again, Macklemore is a Martian. He's an alien. And he's just standing there calculating how to make hip-hop work. Yeah. Like, he's even taking into effect his past work, because, like you said, the one that's tried to be Let's Eat 2, there's the one that tries to be another Chance off-cut. Like, he's trying, and that's my biggest problem with this record. He's trying to do everything without having anything that is his own.
And Glorious is trying to be Can't Hold Us.
That was the whole point of this record, was for Macklemore to stand on his own. It's for Macklemore to showcase he can do it. Because let me tell you, other rappers have done that. They've gone on their own. And you know what? It can work. Take LP, for example.
Yeah.
Those who don't know, LP was not he was not originally a solo artist. He was part of Company Flow, and then he made Fantastic Damage, and it blew the fucking minds of the hip-hop world that were listening. You know, Zach De La Rocha, Rage Against the Machine, he broke off from Rage forever a fucking go, and he's making solo music, and guess what? It's just as fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna keep going, like, Levitate is stupid. It's sort of dance off part 2, but I like the production and like the groove of it enough to kind of give it the lowest of passes. At least compared to everything else, even though it has some horrible lines on it. I'm just thinking about this like in comparison with the rest of this. Like, to give you an idea, like, the worst song on the Killers album is better than the best song on this. So like, I'm only thinking about like within the context of what rises to the very shallow top. You know,
I want to know what you would rate this record, Mark.
One of my like thresholds. Oh, and I also want to say Corner Store, like, I thought was okay, and sort of in a similar way where you're talking about with the Buckshot, I think is the name of the song. Like, it had kind of a theme to it enough, and like with the I thought the guy singing on the hook sounded kind of cool. I'm probably gonna look into Dave B, and I'll probably like everything he's done on his own more than anything on here. I don't know, but so my threshold with scoring is like between a 4 and a 3.5. Like, that is like what makes the difference between a super mediocre album and an outright bad one.
This gets a low 3 from me. I think it's really fucking bad.
One thing that I figured as I was listening was like, okay, this is stupid. It's badly written. It's pointless. I'm never gonna listen to it again. But you know, he doesn't come off like a dick in any of it. So it's like, okay. And then Over It happened, and I was like, okay, never mind. Because he just sounds so pissy and bitter. And it's like he wasn't even so it's like he can't even commit to the fun thing. And also, why is it an hour? Why is this an hour? Why is this an hour? Why is this an hour?
Because Mac does not know the meaning of a good trim. He hasn't visited his barber in a long time, and his barber's crying. He's worried. He's like, I gave you a haircut that redefined the fashion world, Mac, and you haven't come back.
Well,
what are you doing, Mac?
He had to publicly disavow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it on this.
I wanna be a feminist, but I'm still watching porno. I wanna eat healthy, but I'ma eat this one nose.
Let's be a little quicker with the other ones.
Yeah, let's be fast with our recommendations. Okay, so before we get into our personal recommendations, I want to take this time to say, hey, by the time this podcast is up, I've dropped a new EP. It's called Bits of Space.
No way. How can I get it?
You can get it on the Bandcamp, Charlemagne's Menagerie. Go to bandcamp.com/Charlemagne's Menagerie. I know. And it's there. It's 4 songs. It's about space, but I don't sing on it and I don't rap on it. It's just instrumentals. Now, my first recommendation for today. Also, we're probably going to talk about it in the future. Hint, we probably are. But my first recommendation. I don't have any outright negative ones like I did last time, which is good. But I'm going to start at a higher note. I'm going to talk about the new Chelsea Wolfe record because I finally listened to his Spun, and I liked it. I liked it a lot more than I probably thought I would because I liked her previous record a lot. I don't like it as much as that. But I think it's interesting where she's taking her sound. I like that it's the doom metal influence is a little more prominent. And I like the kind of dichotomy that she has with her voice and her instrumentals in some of the songs. Surprisingly enough, a handful of the tracks reminded me of the Deftones in a weird way, but I liked that because I liked the Deftones. But I thought it was a pretty damn good record, especially by this year's standards.
Yeah, you got a couple records that like I almost got around to, but it's just like other stuff kind of took over. Actually, Chelsea Wolfe, like she was playing at Amoeba for like a free set, and I almost went to that, and I probably would have listened to that if I didn't have so much schoolwork that I did go to that. So But what I've heard from this, like, I have, like, always liked what I've heard from him. I've just never gotten around to a full record. So, I don't know. I find something kind of unique about, like, you don't see a lot of, like, female metal solo artists, you know?
No, you don't. Especially ones that are this good. Because normally, female in metal, you normally get two groups. You get Amy Lee, or you get the Nightwishes, who are, like, power metal.
Yeah.
You rarely get this doom metal-y, female-fronted act. And it's really interesting to hear how she has transformed, especially transcended this kind of gothic aesthetic and evolved more into this doom aesthetic, while still, I wouldn't say moved past the gothicness, but retained it and evolved from it.
Okay, so moving on to mine. Mine kind of have an interesting sort of theme to them in that it's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of what the case was the last couple episodes. Because, like, keep in mind that like a couple weeks ago for the Tom Petty episode, I spent like half a week listening to nothing but stuff that I heard for the first time when I was 10. So I was like firmly in my own comfort zone. So this time around, I just wanted to really break outside of that. Even like not all new releases, you know.
No.
Also, you guys might know if you follow the YouTube channel that I posted a video a few weeks ago where I went to this music festival in Long Beach called Music Tastes Good. And there, I got into a few artists there that I'm going to be talking about for 3 of these. And one of them that I wanted to get around to in the first place, but I just had a good excuse to now, was Alvvays. Spelled with V's.
You mean Alvvays?
Yeah, because
Alvvays.
Because all the bands, you got to do that for your search engine optimization, you know?
Alvvays, absolutely. I sing it like the Count. Anyway.
1, 2 V's.
1 V, 2 V's, Alvvays. That's how I read that every time. When I look at that, I'm like, you mean Alvvays? Because that's what that is. That's not all. That's Alvvays. Oh yeah.
You know, speaking of names, sometimes an album name is what compels you to listen to something, and I really like the name Anti-Socialites. That's a cool name for an album. And fitting into the context of it, it's a good kind of reverby indie rock record. And it's like the kind of thing where it's like, if you just like describe the sound of someone, it doesn't sound all that unique. You know, it's like a reverby, sort of dreamy in spots, sort of spunky in other spots, indie rock album with these kind of pleasant female vocals. You can kind of hear a few contemporary influences as you listen to it, but at the same time, like, you know, you got this sort of interesting lyrical arc about like the relationship that the narrator is having with this person, and there's like a big twist that comes up in the last few tracks that really kind of ties everything together, and kind of the detail put into it. And it is one of those cases where it's like the music's very peppy and pleasant, but the lyrics are, it's that one line in the 21 Pilots Not Today song. I'm not gonna repeat it because you guys probably know it, but yeah, it's a good record. I definitely recommend you listen to it. If you've heard a lot of hype about it, it's worth it.
Honestly, I hadn't heard any hype about it, but I didn't have it on my radar. But that song you sent me, I mean, I thought it was really good. It kind of is like beach house with a grouper singer, like a grouper sounding singer, which was definitely interesting to me, and I liked the whole soundscape, and I liked the lyrics of it a lot too. And I added it to my get to list for the rest of the year, so I will be checking the rest of the record out. Yeah.
I saw you on the street, but I have you in my dreams tonight.
So my next...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, so my next recommendation, or my next, I guess, talk about record, is the new Action Bronson Blue Chips 5000. Or 9,000.
7,000?
7,000. Blue Chips X.
True.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never been an Action Bronson defender.
I'm aware.
I
was the defender up until now. So I just barely took this off my albums to get to list just because I heard the reception was okay, but not like essential.
I'm not gonna tell you to go run to your record store and get it right now because I think it's okay. I do think he's still. I cannot break away from that Ghostface stigma. I'm sorry. I'm such a big Wu-Tang fan, and it's not that he's rapping like Ghostface. He just sounds too much like Ghostface. And it helps that he's rapping again because I know he sang a lot more on his previous record. But I like that he's rapping again. I do think some of the songs are funny. I like some of the skits. There's the one at the beginning where he's smoking weed with his mom. I think it's kind of funny. He's setting himself apart from my idea of him more on this record than he has in the past. Ultimately, I think this thing just doesn't wow me as much as I would still want it to. In fact, some of it downright just I hate. Like the chorus to the song "Chop Chop Chop" is atrocious. It's really stupid. You can
kind of tell from the title.
Yeah, it's it's pretty bad. It's like ICP levels of atrociously bad. Yeah, it's I in my one.
Oh,
review,
so you're saying all fat white guys that rap are the same? You're so.
I know I'm pushing so many new opinions. No, but I in my one sentence review on my listening log for this, I didn't say anything about the record other than "Chop Chop Chop" is one of the worst choruses to a hip hop song I've ever heard. The record's good though. Like it's. I like it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I like it on the same level as the new Foo Fighters, but what I like for different reasons, and it made me like Action Bronson as an artist more.
I'm on a plane to Russia with a hard dick and a tank top from Target. Why this blunt tastes like Starburst? And why your girl cheating on you with a player from the San Diego Chargers?
So like I said, I cited that for the first 4 out of 5 here, that I'm gonna be different degrees of positivity with. Okay. I decided to arrange it from least weird to most weird. You know, first one, reverby indie rock in 2017. You know, that's my MO a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, that's your mo.
Another act that was there was this band called Heaven 17. So they came on stage and there were just these British guys, and they looked like maybe in their 50s, and they're like, "Hey, we're from the 80s." And then
given the video you sent me, that totally fits, and that's fucking great.
Oh yeah, so and then they played their first single, which I believe is like called a Fascist Groove Thing. So like they had like a sort of political edge in some of the like for earlier stuff, but this is not an earlier stuff album that I got. So let me backtrack a little bit. So originally I was just going to talk about this and like recapping the festival in the beginning. But when I was at a local record store, shout out one time to Left of the Dial in Santa Ana. Good place. Yeah. They were selling all their CDs for $1 that day, and I found a copy of a Heaven 17 album called How Men Are. Okay. From 1984, I believe. Yeah. And if I'm going to say this in the way that Chris D'Elia would on Congratulations, essa 80s. This is the single most 80s album I've ever heard.
Oh, okay.
For better or worse. Because like you got all the vocal patterns you would expect, the sort of tone. You got sort of the backing vocals popping up in spots, the obvious synth horns. And yet it's still pretty enjoyable, honestly. I'm not sure how much I'm going to come back to it. But I'll put it like this. Like, normally, a pet peeve I've had lately is that, oh god, I popped my P's so perfectly hard there. But one pet peeve I've had with some reviewers, not going to name any names because it's pretty much everyone that does this, is that they compare a sound that's a throwback not to a specific artist from that era, but to the decade. So they'll say, this sounds like, if it's an alt-rock band, it sounds like the 90s. Yeah. If they're incorporating a disco groove, this sounds like the 70s.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of time when people talk about, like, you know, synth pop acts now, they'll say, this sounds like the 80s. But in this case, I now know exactly what they're talking about when they say, it sounds like the 80s.
There is one band that sticks to mind with this act, and I mean that in, like, this in, like, kind of a light way, just because, I have not listened to the song that you sent me, like, extensively. I just kind of listened to it. But it was very Duran Duran-ish. It was like a diet Duran Duran. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I like Duran Duran. I think they're great. But I felt like these guys are like a diet them, and that's okay. because
Yeah.
there were a lot of bands that wanted to be that, but these guys pulled it
Yeah.
off pretty okay.
And I'm not going to accuse them of stealing anything. Like, they started around the same time as, like, them and, like, Depeche Mode, who, on a lot of our tracks on this, they do definitely sound a lot like Depeche Mode, especially in some of the vocals. And in some of the... I guess, like, the funny thing is that, like, you know, I feel like a band like Depeche Mode, on the other hand, would, like, go all the way with their lyrical messages, be a little bit more straightforward. This is just on that weird cusp where it's, like, it's not the normal subject matter, but at the same time, it's so vague that you can't get a definitive, like, commentary on it. And I can tell that, like, on the past albums, they were a bit more straightforward about it. Just looking through Wikipedia, like, the last album was called, like, The Luxury Gap. And again, they have a song called The Fascist Groove Thing, or Crushed by the Wheel. Or they have another song called Crushed by the Wheels of Industry.
That's amazing.
You get a good idea. And then this
That's
is just,
the fucking best.
And then this is just how men are.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool record. Cool record.
Yeah.
You can have it all. I don't need it. I don't need it. Tell them this is mine. Tell them this is one thing is no crime. Happens all the time.
So.
Oh, and I will say, it's weird because this isn't on streaming services. I had to listen to it on like a janky YouTube playlist because the CD wasn't even working outside my car.
Really?
But, yeah.
I was gonna say, I was pausing to give breaks for the music because I know you're adding that in. The next record I will be recommending. This is a strong recommendation from me.
Cool.
And I told Mark this, and I've kind of tweeted about this. I think I found at least what could be argued my album of the year so far. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be talking about it now. We'll see how the next couple months go, but this is a strong contender for me, like the strongest contender I've heard so far. It's this DJ producer by the name of Blanck Mass, and it's his new album. It is World Eater. It's got like a wolf on the cover, and I checked it
Badass.
purely off of intrigue.
Hey, you know what?
Because
this is the second time in what I've been listening to lately in a row where you have an album with a wolf on the cover.
yeah, you know, maybe
It's a theme.
it's a theme. It's a theme that ends probably now.
That'll be in when we do the obscure year end list. You can do the top 5 albums with wolves on them
on
from
the
this
cover.
year.
Yeah. But I
Number
checked
5,
this
Chelsea
out
Wolfe.
because I looked on
Tish.
the Rate Your Music profile for this album, and some of my friends had given it like stupid high ratings. And I was like, and the genres were like up my alley. It was like post-industrial, yada, yada, yada. And goddamn, if it's not up my alley, holy crap. I like this thing about as much as I liked the first Algiers record when I first heard it. It ticks a lot of the same bells. It's not as focused. It's a lot more erratic. But I kind of like that about it. I've described it like this everywhere. Every song kind of feels like you're being dropped in the middle of something while it's happening. And you're just kind of supposed to indulge in it and see what you can pull from it while you're kind of scrambling for some sense of foundation to find. I love this thing. I love that it's equal parts erratic as it is serene. Because there are some songs where it's a little softer. It's not as intense. But... It is a damn engaging listen, and I've pulled so much from this upon revisits that I can't put it down. It's so good.
Awesome. Okay, and the next one, we're gonna be taking a bit of a leap on the weird scale for me. So I forgot. I'm not going chronologically on the festival, so I forgot if this was before or after. But because I was mostly there to see of Montreal. Naturally, it's a pretty eclectic thing, and as you can tell from what I've said so far, it's a pretty eclectic festival up in Long Beach. Music tastes good. It was cool, but this variety goes beyond borders. Because the next two I'm going to be talking about, or should I say for this next one, because she was actually at the festival, one singer-songwriter by the name of Juana Molina. Apparently, so give a little background because I found it interesting. So she is from Argentina, and she's actually pretty popular there apparently as like one of the biggest like experimental like pop-ish musicians there.
She's the Bjork of Argentina.
Actually, she's gotten a lot of weird comparisons. Actually, if you look at, it's funny because like she sort of crossed over into having like a big following in like Portland apparently, and like just like
That
those,
doesn't surprise me at all.
just like those indie capitals, you know.
But yeah, judging by the music you sent me, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. And I thought it was kind of a funny background. So it's like apparently she was actually like a big like comedian in Argentina in the 90s, but then but she was apparently like originally into music, and then that just kind of took over. So then just like in the mid 90s when she was super big, she was like, screw it, I'm just gonna make some freaking experimental folk music, and then just kept doing that for 20 years.
My question for you is, do you think the guys that made What Does the Fox Say are gonna start doing this? That's my question for you, Mark.
I mean, I'm sure they're still big there. Like, I'm sure. I doubt their show's been canceled. You know.
No, but I mean, do you think they're gonna say fuck it and start making this type of stuff? You know.
I mean, they've tackled a lot of Elvis. The legacy of Elvis is very genre full. They've covered their grounds. You know, they've evolved over their time. I haven't been keeping up, but I'm sure that they're getting rave reviews, all kinds of whatever the Norway equivalent of Pitchfork. They're getting the best. they're getting all kinds of best new musics.
Fork Peach, welcome to Fork Peach,
Getting
where we talk about the music tunes.
Best new music, but spelled NEU, and there's dots over all the letters.
Best music new. This is the new yield.
Anyway, this Argentinian Bjork.
Yay!
I didn't mean to cut you
Cultural
off.
insensitivity.
Woo! I'm white.
Perfect way of talking about this stuff. And by the way,
Sorry.
maybe we're the kind of people that the Eminem diss track was meant to reach.
Oh man, no! Eminem hates me. I don't care.
By the way, shout out to the Radical Douche.
Yeah.
Because I never really talked to him before, but I decided to kind of make him my token Argentinian friend for a second and get his perspective.
What did he say about this?
By the way, Rod, if you listen to this, you have an open invitation to come on anytime you like. You make good stuff.
Yes, come and join in my cultural insensitivity. I'm Dr. Nick, apparently.
This is perfect representation of what to expect.
I am the American man. I'm the American dream right here. Booyah, baby.
Hey, you're better than the other American Dream to come out this year.
Hey, no! I like that album. God damn it. So
anyway, this album's really good.
Okay, so you liked it. I was wondering if you would like it. Yeah.
So okay. Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be recommending it, like, because what do you think I was gonna bring out this thing about? Hey, everyone, take a look at this stupid foreign thing. Ha ha.
Well,
is that what you thought my narrative was gonna be? Huh?
No, but
are you trying to pull a fader on me?
No. Given that I have presented questionable music on this platform for this segment before, and you are going to do the same later on in this segment, I did not know what you would think about this artist and the next artist.
True. Okay. So, like I said, I've been really going outside my comfort zone, and
Yes, you have.
And I'm really glad. I feel like you maybe had a similar reaction to like when you heard the 68, and as far as like the Mark's listening to this.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened.
But so the thing is, like, I never realized before, because like the only other like non-English artists I'd heard, I'd really got like been a fan of before was like Santana and there's probably one other one I can't think of right now.
Rob Thomas.
Well, I mean, at times you could argue.
Yeah.
That drawl can go for miles.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I found kind of cool about listening to this stuff is that this is gonna sound like a backhanded compliment, and I hope it's not, but this is like perfect studying music.
No, I could get that. It's kind of methodical.
So like the style of it, it kind of changes between these two records. So like with this new one, it's very layered with like a mix of like organic like guitars and light percussion and stuff like that, and these sort of like electronic like loops and stuff like that. With Juana's very sort of hushed tone over top of it. It's very pleasant. I guess the thing about it not being in English is that it weirdly it just makes you kind of see the vocals as just another instrument. And I can kind of see, like, because I've sometimes get confused when, like, a big, like, you know, American rock band gets 60% comments about Come to Brazil, you know?
Yeah.
But now that's the other way around, basically. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, the music's still there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just you interpret it in a different way. And honestly, it says a lot about her songwriting, too, that, like, when I was, like, looking at the rough translations Google Chrome automatically gave me, there was actually some interesting themes being picked up, like on this new album Halo. I'm sure it's pronounced like that. It's probably not pronounced
Halo.
like that. Yeah, apparently, yeah. The one that came out this year that where the cover is her eyes on a bone. These images of like witchcraft and like going into like the woods and like the relationship where something horrible happened, and it's pretty interesting. And I ended up later on, actually, so I got this album digitally on Bandcamp, and then for the other album I got, which is an older one, Tres Cosas from 2003, I believe, I was actually at Amoeba, and I was in a meet and greet to the signing where Wolfe Alice was signing after playing a mini set there, and I'm probably going to be talking about Wolfe Alice on the next episode. And throughout that, like, the line basically went throughout the whole store. And if you guys know Amoeba, it's basically a superstore for music. So they're basically taking us through, like, all the non-pop and rock sections.
Yeah.
You're just weaving through, like, the underground metal, the comedy, the classical, the ballet, the, you know, into the weird back room with all the dust in it.
Where the porno happens.
And freaking heck, yes.
People
and
having
one of them
sex
was-
back there, man.
And one of them was the Latin section, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna take a look and see if we got. And then I found a copy of this album from 2003, and it's a lot more stripped down. It's a lot folkier.
Yeah.
It's a lot less going on, but maybe a little less unsettling. But I didn't expect. Again, you wouldn't think that you would lyrically connect with an album that's not in the language you speak. But like the track I sent you, like it's basically. Lyrically, it basically could have been on Jeff Rosenstock's Worry.
Yeah.
Because like it's just about like gentrification and like your heritage being taken away by, you know, corporations tearing down your buildings and stuff. And the fact that I was able to get, you know, some pretty compelling themes out of it says a lot. And then there's like the song Isabel, and this is the only other one I'm going to mention, where it's like about a girl whose father leaves her, and then her and her mother move away, and she finds out that her dad left her a suicide note written in blood.
Huh.
So it's like you get some themes.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool. It's like you know what it's saying, but at the same time you can tune that out, and it's a cool dynamic. It's a cool dynamic I'd never really thought about before. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know. I listen to. I'm gonna pull this whole. I'm the indie. I'm like the underground music guy podcast card. But like I listen to like Francis the Mute. It's like one of my favorite records. Half of it's in Portuguese. Like, yeah. I like listening to music. Or like Mabul, Story of the Three Sons of Seven. Half of that album's in Israeli. It's in Hebrew. Like, it's written and sung in Hebrew. So, like, I like listening to records that have that sort of language barrier. And I like finding out what they mean. And it gives like you were saying, it gives me this kind of more world appreciation because they're singing from a perspective that is similar to you, but thousands upon thousands of miles away, and it bridges the gap of that distance through art and music. It's beautiful.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, stay tuned for my raw garage rock cover of that one song.
Yeah.
That could have been on Jeff Rosenstock. I'm gonna make it sound like Jeff Rosenstock. Damn it.
That's another thing.
The melodies are good and are like simple enough that I can make it work.
I added Halo, whatever, to my albums to get to list because I really enjoyed the song that you sent me. You sent me something that I also really, really enjoyed.
Si esta noche hay luna, revertiré la ilusión. La frutilla, los tomates ahora no son tan ricos porque les pusieron qué sé yo.
And okay, I kind of rambled about that one, but it's like it tapped into more interesting themes than the music itself.
Yeah.
You know, not more interesting than, but just like more in addition to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
So the next record that I will be talking about today is the latest Big Sean record, I Decided. I would not consider myself like Action Bronson, a Big Sean defender, but I was kind of surprised with this thing. And that's kind of the shitty thing about this year. When I say I'm surprised by something, I want to be like, I fucking love this thing. But instead I was like, I was surprised. I thought it was okay. Like, I expect less from Big Sean than I do from Action Bronson, because Big Sean's the guy that brought us ass. And he rode that ass train for a couple years. But
yeah, he made that hype train hammer time way too much.
But I do like, I liked I Don't Fuck With You to a degree. I thought his flow on it was good. Like, he's not, I don't think he's a failure as a rapper, because he has shown, at least to me as a rap snob, that he has some chops. And I was kind of intrigued going into this record, because I wanted to like it, because I wanted to like Big Sean's music, at least to some degree, because I don't think he's horrible. And I like it. I like the atmosphere throughout the record. I like that it's consistent. I like that there's themes that he's exploring more. The whole darker tone matched with this kind of poppy atmosphere with the whole overglaze of trap. I think it works better here than it does on other trap records that have come out in recent months. I think he succeeds where artists like Future try to succeed, in my opinion, and it helps that he does not fall under the guise of just being mumble rap with autotune. He actually tries to pen good lyrics, or at least consistently tolerable lyrics. You know, like, he's shown that he can be kind of an asshole, or he can be just kind of a joke, but I like that he actually tried on this thing, and I don't think it was a failure. You know, it's like that episode of The Simpsons where Bart tries to get an A, even though he ends up getting an F. I don't think Big Sean tried and got another F. I think he gave us a quality record. I still
It sounds like you're going like the C plus B minus.
Yeah, it's like a C plus. It's like another 6. It's like a soft 6. You know.
Cool. I guess like personally for the Big Sean, because I haven't heard any of his full albums.
Yeah.
But for what I've heard, on where it's on like features or, you know, the big singles and stuff, I will say this song that you linked me, Light, is definitely an exception to that. It's probably like the most I've tolerated him on a song,
and that's
for sure.
That's the tone of the record. Like, that was like a perfect example of the tone on the record.
Okay, but I guess my thing with him is that I want to say monotone, but that implies he sounds bored. But he's monotone, but that one tone is that he's mildly annoyed with someone.
Yeah.
It's like and there's not really like a steady like cadence to it. He just kind of rambles.
No, I could definitely get that for sure. And there are and that is a big problem with him as a performer to me. I do kind of agree with that. He is very like, he's very in that he stays within his very limited range as far as a rapper goes. And I think that's why I don't think he's like as engaging as an Aesop Rock or someone, because he is still limited by his abilities, but I feel like he's at least trying to use his abilities in a way that isn't obnoxious.
Yeah, of course, making those kind of comparisons would kind of be ridiculous. Even like fans of his would say that.
I mean, but they're, you know, it's all hip hop. You know, if we're talking about it as one whole genre, you know. But
I mean, you know, I feel like a lot of people have had this discussion before, where it's like rock has its subgenres. You know, why can't hip hop?
Oh, for sure.
But I guess like because of the disconnect between the rapper and the production, maybe that's it. I don't know.
And that's why I more compared it to like Migos at first. Like, I think that Migos is like, I liked Culture a little less than I liked this. If I'm gonna compare two rappers together that I feel like work, Big Sean did the same thing for me on this. Like I said, that Action Bronson did on his new record. Like, he exceeded my expectations in ways that I was genuinely surprised by. Like, I walked away from I Decided liking a lot more than I thought I would. Not just like the hooks either. Like, I liked his lyrical contributions.
Take the fame, take the crib, take our cars, now we gotta take the train. Hood niggas taking chains, slave master take our names. 5-0 take the shot, and young souls take the blame, man. But they can't take away the light.
No matter how much they gon' shade you.
Man, they can't fuck with the light.
Let me get into more non-English stuff, but this time without those pesky vocals.
All right. Before you talk about this, you haven't listened to it yet, but judging from the last artist and this artist, you would think that I was listening to that and was inspired by it for my next EP. Like, listening to this, I was like, did Mark know how my EP sounds? Because, like, he's hitting a lot of shit that sounds kind of like what I'm doing.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know, as far as recommendations going forward. But this is also another find from that one record store, Left of the Dial. So these are two records by one Mr. Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah.
You guys might think, like, wait, like 70s electronic music, you've never even acknowledged that exists. You've never acknowledged that electronic music exists outside Daft Punk and maybe a reference to Aphex Twin one time.
That's why I'm here, damn it.
Exactly. But I found these actually in the dollar bin in the vinyl section.
It's kind of sad because I liked that stuff.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised because, like, from what I gather, like, from what I saw on Wikipedia, like, the guy plays to crowds of literally millions.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
He's broken the Guinness World Record like 5 different times or something.
Really?
For that.
Nice.
Something crazy like that. But I saw the name because shout out one time to the Wonky Angle, a friend of the show who's been on before, aka 256 Pi. He's been a big advocate of this guy, and I've been watching his videos, and seems like a pretty influential figure. So I saw this. I saw one album, Equinox, with an E at the end, and The Essential, Jean-Michel Jarre, and I decided to pick these up, and it's cool. Again, sort of like with the Juana Molina stuff. Like, if I'm looking at it in a very superficial way, this is just really good, like, music to focus on something to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good music to maybe do some reading, maybe do some writing. It just puts you in a headspace. It puts you in a mood. It's got all those nice synthy textures. It's got sort of an atmosphere as it builds some nice synthetic percussion stuff. It sounds like 70s electronic music, and I enjoyed it.
It reminded me of, like, and this is gonna sound kind of weird because I wouldn't compare it to an influence of these guys, but it kind of reminded me of the second song you sent me anyway, Overture. It reminded me of the Stranger Things theme song. But those guys were influenced by John Carpenter. I would not say that this sounded like John Carpenter. This
is a different John with a different spelling.
It had very soft tone. It almost reminded me of Steve Reich as well. At least to some degree. Some might be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm here to talk about electronic music that predates the 2000s and the 90s. I liked it, though. I genuinely, like, this was, out of all of the things you sent me, I was surprised you were listening to this, because this is the shit that I like. This is the shit that I listen to. And I was like, what the fuck is Mark doing listening to this shit, man? Like, what the fuck? This is my wheelhouse.
Listen, man, when you between this and 68, it's like when you move an hour and a half north, it changes a man.
I mean, hey, I'm glad that you're investing your time into this sort of stuff, because I think it's interesting to see you branch out and where you are branching out.
Listen, man, I've gone to LA, okay? I'm all about that weird counterculture.
Don't develop a coke habit, man. Don't develop a coke habit.
We'll see. Give it time.
Give it time. Next podcast, you're like, dude, Johnny, I tried it.
It's gonna be a 5-minute episode.
It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing. I just talk about all those things all at once. It's gonna be the greatest time of the world. It's gonna be the best. We're gonna talk about all this music. We have Crash Thompson here, everybody. Crash Thompson coming to the show. We're gonna have a good time. Thank you for watching Matt Sounds. I've been Mark Marvin, and everybody's gonna have a great day. Play the music. You slow that down.
I'm actually gonna play the music here on like 2.5 speed. And you know what, that reminds me, sort of tangent, moving on from this, before we get into the fun one I'm going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going to get into your last one first.
Yeah.
But what I haven't told you is that over the past couple episodes, what I've been doing in editing is that a little inside baseball, you know?
Yeah.
Is that when I've been playing it back, to be efficient with it, I've been playing it back at 1.75 speed, and a serious music discussion between two chipmunks is very entertaining.
Oh, no, you told me that. You told me that before you posted the last episode.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you did. You sent it to me. And
Okay,
I think that's
okay.
good. That's effective. That's called time management, Mark. You're doing a great job with your time management.
When you're and also like when you're talking about Jesus in your butthole.
Yeah.
Jesus in my butthole is a Sunday ritual we have here in this household, where he penetrates me deeply.
Shout out to another podcast I've been getting into, Good Christian Fun. They talk about Christian culture and how weird and interesting it is,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out one time. Do you want me to get into my last suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all about surprises this week in Johnny's Quarter, and this last suggestion was also a wild surprise for me. The new 36 Crazyfists album, Lanterns.
That's an intense band name.
Hey, they are brocore at its finest. I used to listen to 36 Crazyfists when I was an angsty high school man, little boy, and I hadn't listened to them since literally the album that came out in 2010 was the last album I listened to of theirs, and that was the year I graduated high school. But I've been on this kind of, I wonder what these guys have been up to lately phase. You know, I listened to the new Modest Yahoo and Flowbots, and out of all those guys, these guys really surprised me. It still sounds like them. They still sound like metalcore, bro metalcore, but I don't know. Their production is different enough. They have this touch of thin brittleness that harkens to like decent post-hardcore that I enjoy out of these guys. I like how their vocalist doesn't sound like your Killswitch Engage guys or anything like that. He's a little different, and the little nuances that are different with these guys set them apart to me enough to really enjoy them. You know, they're not as beefy as your Triviums or your Bullet for My Valentines. They have enough of an identity, and they've, stayed consistent with that identity enough to be enjoyable to me. I liked this thing in a way that I didn't realize I would.
Okay, I'd never heard of these guys, but apparently they have a big legacy I had no idea about.
Yeah.
Because you look in the comments and it's like all these fans that have been around freaking 20 years, and they've had like some songs in like the rock charts and stuff, and okay, like I can see how they were definitely big in like the early mid 2000s. I could see that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There were a lot of number bands. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Although, they were a bit different from the other number bands of the time. But
yeah, they weren't but did you like the song I sent you? Did you think it was interesting?
School.
Yeah.
School. This is going to sound so condescending, but I feel like someone that is nostalgic for the period that you're nostalgic for would have more to appreciate in it than me.
Oh no, for sure. Like I gave this thing a generous 7 out of 10, but that's because I was that surprised by this thing. Like generally, like the sound of 2000s hard rock. It's not that it's an instant turnoff for me, but it's like there's some undescribable like slight disconnect that happens with me, where it's like I can't fully be immersed in it, but I can appreciate the good stuff when I hear it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what are we now? Since the flame that touched his taste, facing the mirror, reflection for love.
Okay, now it's time to have some fun.
Yeah, this is a good time. I'm ready to have nightmares.
Yo, I hope you imagine those nightmares and that there are some dragons around. This album is broken. Help me.
Yeah. We're talking
Evolve.
about the new Imagine Dragons record. Now, Mark, my visuals are going to go away.
Speaking of, they were big in 2013, and we're wondering if they were good in the first place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And here's the thing. Can I talk about something before I listen to this monstrosity of a song that you sent me that I haven't heard?
Oh yeah. So background. So we sent each other links to songs from these albums. I just did that with everything except this album because I want his first reaction to a point of this song.
And here's the thing, okay?
And you've heard the singles.
Yeah, I've heard the singles, and I don't like them. But here's the thing. When Imagine Dragons came out, I had friends that were all about them. They were like, I'm amazed you don't like these guys. They were surprised I didn't like them. I had like Cartman Family Guy syndrome with Imagine Dragons. Like, I was like, I don't fucking like this thing. I don't like this. I think they're mediocre. You know, I did not like Imagine Dragons when they first came out. I eventually warmed up to some of their songs, but I was never like, I think these guys are gonna last.
Okay.
I think that they got a staying power.
Okay, I mean, my background is that I instantly with Night Visions, their first album 2012 has all you know, your It's Times, your Radioactives, your all that stuff. I admit a couple of those songs wore on me just from being so ridiculously overplayed. Oh, I see your Regal Crown Club card there. I got one too. Hey.
Oh, I've been fucking around with it all episode. I'm sorry.
It's cool. Hey, it's okay. A tangent, commonality. What? But.
What but?
What? No, we're not going back to that.
Anyway, imagine
Marmalade was trying so hard to be broccoli. I'm sorry. Miracles was okay, but okay. So I love Night Visions. And re-listening to it, I still enjoy the freaking heck out of that thing. Like it's overblown. It's cheesy, but it's like I'll give you this. It's very similar to Lorde in that it inspired so much crap. It inspired your American authors, your Judah and the Lions, your ex-ambassadors, and for that I have slightly less respect for it. But I still enjoy the album, Night Visions, and I went back and listened to their previous EPs, and actually, the first EP that the band doesn't want you to know about, I'm probably going to make a whole video out of it because it's very entertaining. For no intentional reasons. The EPs before that, I went back and listened to those. Those are pretty good. You can see a little bit more of the Killers' influence, a little bit of atmosphere going on, you can see a bit more of the soul in the band when they were first getting started in like 2009 to 2011-ish.
When they had a soul.
Yeah. My conspiracy theory about Imagine Dragons is that in 2014, some boy wrote some. Well, they certainly have L's on their foreheads now, and unfortunately, the years keep coming, and they don't
stop.
And the album
coming.
and the albums don't stop coming.
Yeah, no, they don't.
And we want them to stop coming.
Yeah,
they fell flat on their face, but they just kept running. I could go the whole song with this,
but we don't.
The meme is dead, people. The meme is dead.
The meme is not a dream anymore.
But my conspiracy theory with Imagine Dragons is that one day in 2014, one boy first getting into remotely indie rockish music found a magic lamp, and he rubbed that magic lamp, and his first wish was to be a rock star. And the genie's scheme was to switch his brain with the brain of his favorite band's frontman, and that's what happened with Dan Reynolds, and that's why we have Thunder.
Okay. I mean, that song is pretty fucking bad.
And Smoke and Mirrors, it's weird, because I called it a transitional album, but I was hoping that meant it would transition into a better period of their career, but no, it's like Night Visions is an 8, Smoke and Mirrors is like 5, 6, and this is Oh God.
You were way off base, buddy. It is a new era for Imagine Dragons, but boy, is it not good.
I think this is a good time for you to listen to that song.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull up the song. My visuals are gonna go away for you.
And now Johnny reacts to the opening track from Evolve. I don't know why.
This is the opening track. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna play.
Okay. Let me know.
3, 2, 1, boom.
Hey, editing Mark here, butting in one more time to say that I was going to include the full build-up, which was pretty cool, but unfortunately, Universal decided to insta-block me worldwide, and I figured it wouldn't be worth it to file a fair use dispute, so here's the important part.
It's kind of... the atmosphere's...
Wait, here it is!
What the fuck? Why? No. No. No! No! You can't! What the fuck? I don't know why either, man. Do I have to keep listening to this? This is...
No, you can stop now. That's the chorus, and that's the good part of the song.
That's not the good part of the song, though, Mark. That's atrocious. I don't know why. Like what?
See, it's. Are you glad I did the Loverman first reaction thing again?
I mean, the audience is probably gonna love it, but that was horrible. That was bad. Like that was like he was trying to channel like Tom York and Adele in the same breath, and he doesn't have those capabilities.
And like, you see the issue. There is no good singer out there in a prominent band that has less of a clue with what to do with his voice than Dan Reynolds.
Yeah,
and it is hilarious. It's excruciating. A combination of the both. Again, this album is broken.
And here's the thing, like Unbelievers, there's glimpses of that.
Yeah, you heard on that.
Yeah, it's like when he's like, "Take me out the bank to the believer." Hey, like it's bad. It's
pain.
It's so bad.
And like I think it was, I forgot if it was Ethan Double Agent, or it was like someone that was talking about this in a video where it's like these new songs that come out where it's from these like quote unquote indie bands where it's like they sound like singing is a masochistic experience or something like that. My words, but I'm basically paraphrasing.
Yeah. I mean, he makes it seem like it and here's the thing, like my problem with Believers was that it sounded like it was an off-cut.
It's only one believer, by the way.
Okay.
Make me a believer. Believer.
Okay. Well, it sounded like a remix of Heathens. Like it sounded like Heathens from fucking
How dare you?
Okay.
How dare you?
I don't like that song either. But it sounded like it was in the same vein of that Suicide Squad soundtrack. Like it sounded like an offcut from that. Whereas the Thunder just sounded boring, and this first, like, I guess it's broken. None of those sound like they belong on the same record.
Yeah, and with Thunder, it's like the opposite problem, where he's just kind of muttering about kids in school. This encapsulates my conspiracy theory perfectly, and it's how I came up with it. It's just he's just talking about kids in school picking on me, and it's like, dude, you're 30. You're 30. What are you doing?
He's trying to appeal to his demographic, Mark.
It's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, maybe I can, beyond the really annoying aspects of it, like I can maybe see the sentiment of, people doubting you, but you rising above it, And, I was getting ready to, sympathize with at least the basic idea of it. But then in the second verse, he says, kids were laughing in my classes while I was scheming for the masses. Who do you think you are, thinking about being a big star? And that tells me it's not a case of like, outsider, working on his art and people don't understand him. It's, this guy's a freaking fame-hungry dickhead that like is just trying to emulate whatever's popular. And it's like, there was this Lucas Graham song from last year, from the song Mama Said, I believe. That was basically the same thing. It's like, I can't empathize with that because your goals don't seem, valid. I don't know.
Here's my question for you. Did they write all of the songs on this?
There are some co-writers.
Okay, did someone co-write Thunder?
Actually, okay, I was gonna bring up the credits of this thing. I'm so glad you reminded me.
Because, like, that's the thing, like, that could also be part of the reason why this album sounds like a mess. They're a band with co-writers.
A lot of these songs, like, were written with the producers. So on most of it, you got these guys, Matt Man and Robin.
I don't know who the fuck those people are.
Yeah, and this is a Swedish songwriting and production duo whose work over the past few years has included Jason Derulo, Julia Michaels, DNCE, Nick Jonas, Britney Spears, Gwen Stefani. Of course, they worked on This Is What the Truth Feels Like. Haley Steinfeld, Selena Gomez. You can see where the lineage leads here.
Yeah. And
then there's John Hill, who, he's worked on a lot of pop stuff too, but he also worked with Portugal the Man on Feel It Still, so it's like I can't hate him too much. Then there's Alex da Kid, who they worked with on Night Visions, and I don't know what happened in Alex's head since then, but he needs to stop.
The name Alex da Kid sounds familiar. I think he's co-wrote for other people too.
But he produced all the big hits on the first album.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff on the second one. Let me see his discography here. Oh, he has a credit on Come On Let Me Ride from Skylark Ray. We keep coming back to Skylark Ray. he worked on Words I Never Said from Lupe Fiasco. So Airplane, Love the Way You Lie. I'm looking at the early stuff from like 2010.
That's where
he also worked on some of the stuff from Smoke and Mirrors, Renegades from Ex Ambassadors, of course, Unsteady from Ex Ambassadors. You brought up Suicide Squad. He produced Sucker for Pain.
Oh my gosh! What a fucking surprise!
Yeah. The one name that gave me hope on this thing is that Joel Little produced one song and wrote on one song, Whatever It Takes, which is one of the better songs on there, even if it is a bit cliche lyrically. But production-wise, that one's actually got kind of a nice, like, for the times they try like a broad stadium pop rock type thing, I think it works the best there.
Yeah.
Like, if I had heard that in addition to Believer in Thunder going into the album, I might have had a little bit more hope for it. So I'm kind of glad I didn't, actually. And just looking at the titles, this is one of those albums where you can look at a lot of these titles, guess what the lyrics are gonna be in it, and be 90% right. Like, you have songs called Whatever It Takes, Walking the Wire, Rise Up, I'll Make It Up to You, Start Over.
Yeah, it's...
They say I'm basic. Well, they may have a point.
Yeah.
And also, this is a thing we touched on with the Neck Deep album. The kind of thing where it's like, guys, this title is taken. Yesterday, which I can forgive, it's one word, and Dancing in the Dark.
Yeah, that's a little less forgivable. And here's the thing, like...
And that one sucks. It's like... Actually, those are probably the two most broken songs on the whole record. Because, like, he tries for, like, this, like, sleek, like, kind of R&B-ish thing on Dancing in the Dark as the closer, and it's so not working at all. Yeah, oh, and the other thing I want to bring up with this album is the song Rise Up. So I was listening to it, I was thinking, there's something kind of familiar happening here. And I realized, okay, it's just the 4 chords of pop. But then I realized, hey, wait a minute, it's the 4 chords of pop in D sharp. And they've got this kind of slow, plodding tempo going on, and these backing vocals going on in the background, and this sort of 4-line structure going on with it, and a guitar arpeggio going on in the verse, and oh my god, this is Demons. This is Demons. They just redid Demons.
It's because they have.
Once you realize it is so blatant. Only with an annoying, like, robot, like, transformer voice in the chorus going, rise, rise up.
That sounds like a nightmare, Mark. And I'm sorry you had to endure this. But here's a message to America. Stop buying Imagine Dragons music. Don't support them. Unless you like this record. If you like this record, support it. Support your band, support the bands that you like. But if you do not like this, don't invest in it.
At least not to the point where you make them top 10 hits.
Yes. Show them that you want more out of them. I've never really been a fan of this band. And so the fact that they are on the steady decline of less than mediocre isn't a huge surprise to me, but it is unfortunate because they were like Lorde. They brought this huge wave of different alternative styles.
Okay.
No, you even said that yourself. You said that yourself. You said they were like Lorde.
They've influenced bad people, but were you about to compare this album to Melodrama?
No,
because
I haven't heard the album. Listen, let me finish, Mark. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Continue.
They were like Lorde. They brought in this new wave of influences. They were an influential piece of the alternative landscape. The only difference is that they did not know what they wanted to do with their style. Lorde at least did. She knows what she wants to do.
Yeah.
You know? I just don't think she's fully realizing it yet. That's the only difference.
Yeah, there's probably a reason Joel Little only stuck around for one song on this album. Ayo.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes, 'cause I love how it feels when I break the chain.
But yeah, I do not intend to listen to this thing unless I'm feeling especially hating
masochistic.
Masochistic that day.
Like he is on Believer.
Yeah, like he is on Believer. Did you have anything else to add,
Mark? I mean, I could, but it's like we're almost at 2 hours here.
Yeah.
And I still want to attach on this segment. So let's do our outro stuff, and then I'll throw to that.
Okay.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Mad Sounds podcast, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, give us a rate, give us a review. It really helps us out on the old iTunes. If you're listening on YouTube, check out our stuff I'm doing, or subscribe to it on either platform, I suppose. It's good stuff. We're probably going to be bringing on a guest in the next episode. Not going to say, just in case someone falls through, but you never know. We're making this podcast thing finally be a consistent, good thing. I hope you guys are thoroughly entertained by. And yeah, you got anything?
If you'd be so kind, Mark, to link the link to my EP in the description. That's really all I've got. That's all I've got. Thank you again for the growing support and the fans. We don't have a steady incline of listenership as far as I know, but we have those that are there, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been hovering around 50, although weirdly enough, there was kind of a drop-off for the Tom Petty episode, which I was very surprised by. But
it happens.
Yeah, I guess we did it about a week late.
Yeah.
Same thing for by the way, the new cover I have of California by Tom Petty is on the Fully Involved channel.
Yeah,
check it out.
Go check it out.
I recorded it in the middle of well, not in the middle, but like on the outskirts of this giant roundabout, surrounded by drivers that may or may not have been silently judging me. So I had to make that socially awkward sacrifice for you guys. And I don't want more than 12 views, damn it.
Well, there you go.
And now I'm going to throw to a segment that was recorded a few weeks ago. I'm going to detail it more in the intro. I talked to some people involved in the Orange County music scene. If you're interested in not just Orange County music, but how a local scene should operate, because I think that the guys at OCML act as a good example for providing for the artist. So, Johnny, do you have anything to say as a goodbye, or should we just say goodbye?
That's all I got. You guys tune in next time, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Okay, so I'm here at the 4th Street Cafe in Santa Ana, and I'm talking with a good variety of people that were willing to do this, a short little roundtable discussion with me over here. I'm just going to pass around the mic. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves, saying what you do?
My name is Paul Dean Tamarez-Pierre. I'm an aspiring musician. I haven't played any live shows yet, but I've been to a lot of local ska shows and some punk rock shows in the Orange County area and some of the Long Beach area.
My name is Richard Lynch. I'm a booking agent and promoter for the Orange County Music League, based in Orange County, San Diego, moving on to other parts of Southern California, Northern California. I also play in a ska band called Opposite Standard, and we typically play shows, so you'll get both aspects of my variety of things, I guess you could say.
My name is Dominic Camerota. I'm an artist development rep and director of OC Music League Records label.
My name is Scott Milton Brzee, and I'm an artist and singer-songwriter playing a band called SS Odyssey.
Okay, thank you guys. So I guess, Scott, you were the last person to play on here. You did a great job.
Thanks.
So have you been playing around here for long? Like, are you from around the area?
Yeah. So I grew up in Irvine, in Orange County, and I've been playing live shows in Orange County for about 5 years now.
Okay, and how would you describe your style, like in a nutshell? There's definitely kind of a folk tinge to the kind of stuff here, but naturally, soul acoustic show, you're gonna get that kind of vibe anyway. So it's like how would you describe what you do in SS Odyssey?
It's definitely got some. I don't like saying folk because it's not really folk music. That's its own genre, but it definitely has folk influence, acoustic, mellow, with a little bit of a Western flavor.
Okay. Since you guys kind of have your good amount of experience going around this kind of area, do you see any correlation between a lot of the OC venues and stuff, whether it be within a certain sect or within just overall, that kind of makes it distinct?
Well, for one particular production company, Pocket Entertainment, they really put on a lot of all-ages shows and shows that are really made to promote the artist rather than to make a buck. That's what stands out to me, in my opinion. I've compared it before in an article for a festival they put on. I compared it to 924 Gilman Street up in Oakland, if you know what that is, because it's all ages. It's really just done for the artist. It's not really done to make a buck. I always respected that. It's all DIY. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and that's what really stood out to me. That's what made it special to me. And the scene itself really feels like a family, and that's what I think that they did. That's what makes it stand out to me anyway.
So in terms of a correlation, around the area and the music scene of the general area, down here in Orange County mainly, a lot of the musicians and artists, we tend to stick together down here, a lot of us will offer shows to each other, not even from a booking and promotion aspect, but, just the bands in general, we all are a big family down here in Orange County, and we like to make sure that, everyone just generally sticks together, and we help each other out in the scene. And, I think that's a big part of Orange County, because Orange County has come kind of a long way in the music scene, because we've kind of faded out for a while, like you see a lot of the bigger stuff going on down in Los Angeles, San Diego, and way up north, Oregon. And, here in Orange County, I work for the Orange County Music League. And as with Pocket Entertainment, like Paul was saying, is that, you want to build...
Not my name, but whatever.
Well, as Paul Dean was saying.
Sorry, I'm an ass.
It's okay. The main thing is that, you want to build a better music scene down here in Orange County. And, that's one thing that we've been striving to have. So, any bands that are out there, we all need to work hard to stick together and just make the scene better down here. And that's part of what Orange County Music League wants to do, and a big part of what Pocket Entertainment wants to do.
So I do really like what you're saying about everyone sticking together and not really feeling like, everyone's, on their own trying to get their foot in the door. I really appreciate it, especially, when I found out about Orange County Music League, OCML, from a friend of a friend about, when I was trying to, when I was getting prepared to move up to the area. I mean, Long Beach isn't necessarily OC, but it's like bordering.
It's a border city. That's the weird thing about Long Beach. I used to not necessarily live in Long Beach. That was a misspeak. But I hung out in Long Beach for a long time, and it's a weird thing. It's a border city in between Orange County and Los Angeles County. It's technically in Los Angeles County, but there are some people who say no, Long Beach is part of OC, so it's a border city.
Yeah, in a short time here, I've definitely seen a lot more of like a kinship with the stuff around here than when I've gone up 45 minutes to whether it be like Hollywood or Pasadena or something. Nothing against those places, but it's cool. And like I was saying, I really respect what you guys are doing, because I'm a DIY musician, no label or anything. Like you were seeing me handing out some friggin' download cards of my album to people, which I'm obviously gonna hand out some to you guys to try and get the word out there. Yeah. Or you can decide to pay for it if you want, give it to a friend. I don't know, whatever you want to do with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, better to give money.
Yeah. Especially now, I was struggling to get an iced latte from over there, because that would be like 10% of my checking account right now. So I guess what suggestions would you have for people that are trying to that are new to the area, or whether as a fan or as a musician, what would you? Oh, we got a fifth party over here. Okay, you're pointing to. So what's your name, what you do, and what do you have to say about what I'm asking here, my rambling question?
My name is Hart Buchanan. I moved here from Georgia a couple of months ago, and I got hit up by Richard, who was telling me he was a part of this Orange County Music League thing, and I really enjoyed what I was hearing, and I was a part of something like this in Georgia, where our hometown just tried to get all the musicians around and play, and so it's nice to come out here and feel that from another group and have somebody trying to contribute to the local music, because everyone's trying to make it big, but while you're trying to make it big, it's nice to contribute to the local part of the music scene, because that's where everybody really starts out anyway. So
I mean, you're passing it along. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that and to go back a little bit to your previous question, if you don't mind. Yeah, sure. Is this all right? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So one thing that I've really enjoyed about the Orange County scene in the last 5 or so years is that I don't feel the sort of pretentiousness that I've felt in other music scenes. It really feels like everyone is welcoming, and everybody wants everyone else to sound good and do well and be supportive. I feel like when you go up into sort of LA and other big cities like that, you're kind of a really little fish in a really big pond, and no one really cares. But here, I really feel like everybody cares, and as long as you're willing to put in the work and be there and do your best, people really want to hear you. So I've enjoyed that about the Orange County music scene.
Okay, awesome. And do you see any particular genres having more of a presence here than others? Because my tastes kind of go all over the place. So over the course of when I'm doing this series of blogs, I kind of want to give you a good idea. Next month I'm going to be going to that Stick to Your Guns album release show at Chain Reaction. It's going to be the first time going there. Yeah. Just to give you a good idea of the range going on here. So, what kind of specific sect of the scene would you recommend kind of diving into next, I suppose?
Well, what we have here in mostly Orange County area, we have a lot of ska because a lot of ska came from here. A lot of third wave ska bands like Sublime, Real Big Fish, No Doubt, and this is kind of a bad word in the OC ska, but Save Ferris. Not going to go into that, but
I have a follow up. I'm sure we'll go down a whole rabbit hole.
Right. Like I said, different subject, bad word. Don't really want to talk about it now. But the main thing, because we have a lot of ska bands originating from Orange County, from Anaheim, Long Beach, we have a lot. There's a big presence of that here, and it's still felt. And there's a lot of people who say that they're influenced by Real Big Fish or stuff like that, and they want to keep making ska. There's lots of great ska bands down here. There's Opposite Standards from the guy who's next to me. There's Half Past Two. There's Hooray for Our Side. All great ska bands. I think I'm holding this too close. There's also a big punk presence as well, because if you go up to Los Angeles, there's also a big DIY punk scene. One of my favorite DIY punk bands has to be Left Alone. They actually put out their own record label called Smellvis, so they book a lot of have some backyard bands that are that sound better than the rest. And so I definitely recommend the punk and ska scene from Orange County. We definitely have a lot of that.
On top of all that, you do get a lot, around Chain Reaction, where you're going to go to see your next show, and document. There, it's all different parts of Orange County that you see different things, back in the day, there used to be a lot of ska down at Chain Reaction. And up until recently, now at Chain Reaction, you get to see a lot more, hard rock, metalcore shows, super,
There were some alternative bands, too, before I got into ska, before I got into ska, there was I'm not sure how big it is now because I left it. There's an alternative scene where they kind of like a Paramore or Led Zeppelin-y kind of sound. So I don't know if that's the same thing or not, but the most out there I've seen is some kind of hippie band that just like to party, and they just play long ass fucking sets.
And so, on top of all that, adding to, the different types of music that we see down here, aside from ska and punk, you do get a lot of classic rock, a lot of regular metal music. You get a ton of reggae, a lot of that is more down in Huntington Beach. Not so much Orange County, but anyways.
But all I'm thinking right now is I want to hear that Paramore Led Zeppelin mashup band. That sounds amazing.
So, if you don't mind me changing the subject a little bit on top of your question, so one of the things that the Orange County Music League does, and Pocket Entertainment as well, and one of the things that we strive in Orange County to do is we're heavily against the fact of pay-to-play shows. And pay-to-play shows are essentially shows that you get a certain amount of tickets that you have to sell, and it's mandatory that you sell them in order to play the venue. And this honestly drags a lot of musicians down because, whether or not you have a following, you're held in regards to sell all these tickets. And, personally myself, one of the first bands I was in called Annika, we were given the opportunity to play a show at the House of Blues, and we had to sell 100 tickets. And we had only been a band for a month at that time. And we ended up only selling at least, 30 of the tickets, and we ended up having to pay for the rest out of pocket in order to play the venue. And it was just a very distressing situation. And, down here in Orange County, that's one of the things that's dragging us down, and one of the big things that we're trying to stray away from to help make the music scene better, because that's one of the things that dragged it down heavily.
I gotta chime in with something. That may be the best thing I've heard in this whole thing so far, because I played my first show. Yeah, it would be my first show a bit over a year ago at this place in San Diego. Not going to name names, obviously, although I did name the name back when I uploaded something about it, so hint, hint. But I did, because it was my first show ever, I still had to sell 30 tickets, and it got to the point where I was just selling downloads of my EP to make up the cost, and even then I had to shell out $120 for my savings account to them. So to hear that is amazing. It's a lot of integrity. I really got to respect that.
Building off of that pay-to-play thing, and building off of that whole pay to play thing, honestly, like, because I haven't played anything yet, but because there is no stress on pay to play, and because like Pocket and in some cases OC Music League, they make me feel like I haven't played any shows yet, but they make me feel like I can go out there and do it as someone who wants to get out there and play too.
Absolutely. I just wanted to tell my own horror story about pay to play. When I just put my band together and we were starting to play shows, we got a gig at a residency for this other band, and so they booked us for one of the nights of the residency, and we had to it was pay to play. We had to sell a certain amount of tickets, and so the first night that we were at the residency, we sold all the tickets, and it went really well. We had a great time, and then one of the other bands that was supposed to open for this band that had the residency dropped out, and so they called us and asked us if we would fill in last minute, which we were more than happy to do, not realizing that they stuck us with the pay to play the second go around as well. So we get there, and only like 4 or 5 people came because they just seen us a couple days ago. And so we were stuck with that pay-to-play bill when we were doing them a favor. So when I came across OCML and I heard that their code was against pay-to-play, that was really, really what sold me, because I feel like it's just taking advantage of people who are trying to be creative and get their art out there. So yeah, I think it's great that OCML doesn't do that.
Yeah, again, because like there was a whole bunch of sketchy signs when I was doing that that one show, because like the guy that like sent me the initial email, and the thing is, like, I put up this like dinky little covers EP on Bandcamp, and like 2 days later you can tell he was just kind of trolling the whole site. And like when I got there, like apparently the guy like works from Mexico, which was even sketchier. I mean I didn't mean that in a bad way. God, I gotta stop getting on these things. But hashtag Mad Sounds is over party. I don't know. That's the name. That's the name of the podcast. So, what would you suggest on the artist side when you're trying to get into a scene like this? What are like some of like the initiatives, like some of the people you should talk to, or just like some of the mindsets you should have?
Yeah. So, like I said before, I really feel the love in Orange County. I feel like everyone is wanting to connect and to help each other out. I'm trying to remember how I met OCML. John Safari and Chad Martini first. I think they found us through Bandcamp, actually, and they approached us. But definitely approach OCML for sure, because they have the greatest shows, and they, like we said, they never do pay to play. There's also like 500,000 open mic nights in Orange County, and so if you're an artist that just wants to get in, go to an open mic night and start talking to people, and meet other artists and see what they're doing. There's so many people playing music and doing new and awesome things, so just go to shows and start talking to people. I think that's the best way to get started.
When I first got here, I started going to the piers really and just busking. And I would go to Huntington and Newport, and all the locals would recognize me when I would go down there 3 or 4 days a week just to make money. And then I got on Craigslist and just started going to the music community page, and every day I would send out a different ad, and I finally got a few hits back, and Richard happened to be one of them, and I sent him my Facebook page, and next thing you know, I'm playing a gig on Halloween, and I'm very excited, and it's going to be my first gig since I've moved here, and I'm going to build off of that, and it's good to have my first opportunity and somebody to give that to me.
Thanks for talking to me, guys. It went about 20 minutes. It's definitely past what I was expecting. I hope you guys don't mind, since we're kind of closing up around here. So I guess where would be the best place for people to find out about what you're doing as far as like socials and stuff like that?
Check out Facebook, Instagram, yeah. Is there any Twitter? Is Twitter still a thing? Twitter is not a thing anymore.
They're trying to put in 280 character tweets right now, and people are like, "No, deal with the Nazis." But
you heard it here. You heard it here, folks. You heard it first here, folks. Twitter is officially dead. But anyway, Instagram and Facebook are the main places you want to look at. Like we've said before about this whole thing, Pocket Entertainment and OC Music League on Facebook and Instagram. That's how you're gonna learn about all the local shows coming up. Pocket Entertainment really does like a lot of shows like in the OC mostly. They are branching out a little bit to Los Angeles. So if you're in Los Angeles area, or if you're like driving all the way up to Los Angeles, they have shows coming up there too. And I'm not really want to talk about OC Music League. I'm gonna let these guys talk about where they do it.
You can check us out. We have our own website. It's called ocmusicleague.us. We have our own Facebook page, the Orange County Music League. We have Instagram. We also have a Twitter, which I'm not sure how often we use. We have a YouTube page. You know, you can check us out even on Snapchat, I believe. You know, we have a bunch of different social stuff going on, and you know, we have our own digital network that we produce content for weekly. So
yeah, I've actually been listening to that podcast for a couple months now.
Yeah,
and it's kind of how I'm finding out more and more about this kind of stuff.
And we also do our own podcast that we do. We actually release a new episode on Monday of every week. And, there's 4 different episodes per segment. We have rants and raves and everything that has to do with the Orange County music scene and just, music and the music scene in general. So if you want to listen to that, if you are an artist, if you're a booking agent or promoter, that's definitely a great way or a great thing to listen to if you're looking for different ways to accomplish what you're trying to do or even just suggestions. So, with that being said.
So the name of my band again is SS Odyssey, S.S.O.D.Y.S.S.E.Y. A lot of people have never spelt Odyssey in their lives until they look us up.
I got on the first attempt.
Yeah, you did. So you can check us out on Instagram and Facebook. That's where we're the most active. And all of our music is up on Spotify as well. So if you've got a Spotify account, plug us in.
So, okay, thank you guys for quite a good amount of info here. This could fill up like half an episode for me. That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking for content. It's just the general attitude of everyone, really. But okay, thank you guys, and back to me.
This is Editing Mark again. I did not think that through. This episode is over.